We have been talking about adhesion molecules. That's pretty hardcore cell biology. And maybe some people are finding it a little boring, perhaps. So let's take a break and talk about something different. Let me tell you a story of a plant. It's a very special plant. It has different parts of this plant have very special properties. So let me introduce you to Ricinus communis. Ricinus comes from the Greek word ricin, which basically means a tick. So why is this plant called a tick? I'll show that to you later and you will get to understand why it is called a tick. But for one thing, here I would like to mention that alcoholic extract of leaves have shown that in lab rats at least, they protect liver from effects of different poisons. These extracts also show some antimicrobial properties. A water extract from the root bark has also shown analgesic activity in rats. So, two important extracts that can potentially help people. Also, antihistamine, anti-inflammatory properties have also been attributed to ethanolic extract of Ricinus communis. This plant is also called the castor oil plant or castor bean plant, as you might have now recognized that this is basically the source of an edible oil. It is not the oil produced from this plant is not only edible, it is a very effective motor lubricant. It's used in, for example, in planes, racing cars. It has historically been popular also for two-stroke engines due to high resistance to heat compared to, for example, the petroleum-based oils. According to Guinness Book of World Records, 2007 edition, this plant is the most poisonous plant in the world. And we'll see why this is so poisonous. Let me show you a different view of this plant. Here is, for example, the fruit of this plant. This is what it looks like. This is actually a fairly common plant in this part of the world. I have been told that the local term for this plant is rind. So you pretty sure you must have come across this plant several times without knowing what it is. Here are the seeds of this plant. So hopefully it is obvious now why this plant is called a tick plant or the Ricinus, because here's a photograph of a tick. And I'm sure you can see there is some resemblance of the stick with some of the seeds of this plant. So that's where the name comes from. So the seeds, of course, are used for oil, for extracting oil. And also these seeds contain a very potent toxic material, which if it is processed can result in ricin. You may have heard of that. This particular toxin, historic importance of ricin. Let me mention, there was a case that there was a Bulgarian person who had defected from Bulgaria and was living in London, and he was assassinated by Bulgarian secret police in collaboration with, of course, allegedly again, with KGB. The way they managed to do this is they used a modified umbrella to shoot a little projectile into the body of this person, and this person got sick, and within a couple of days this person was dead. This person was dead because that pellet contained an extract from the seeds I have just shown, ricin, as I've mentioned. This compound is basically a lectin. Lectin are this class of proteins that can bind carbohydrates. I'll talk more about that in a little bit. But here I would like to mention that a few grains the size of table salt can kill a human being. It kills by inhibition of protein synthesis because it can cleave. This particular chemical can not only bind proteins, in this case it can bind and cleave the 60S subunit of eukaryotic ribosome, thereby preventing any protein synthesis from taking place. So I'm certainly not going to talk about how you enrich it, but a couple of things. Again, a little knowledge is a dangerous thing. It is not something that people should be playing with. The reason why it is not used for committing suicides although it is fairly common in this part of the world, is because the death is very painful. Again, I would like to talk a little bit about lectins. As I've mentioned, the poisonous material in this plant is basically a lectin. The lectins, they occur ubiquitously in nature. Pretty much every organism produces some kind of lectin, one kind of lectin or another. Most lectins do not possess enzymatic activity. The one we talked about did have some enzymatic activity. They bind soluble carbohydrates or carbohydrates moieties which are attached to, for example, a protein or a lipid molecule. They can still bind the carbohydrates. They recognize the three-dimensional structure of the molecule and also the chemistry on the surface of that molecule. Hydrolytic enzymes, for example, we have talked about during protein sorting. They have to be carried away and put it into lysosome. The way you target these proteins is by use of mannose, by attaching a sugar group, and which are recognized by lectins. And this is how cellular machinery recognizes this protein is, for example, destined to a lysosome. We have talked about that in more detail. A class of lectins is called selectins, and they play a very important role in cell adhesion. So we are back to cell adhesion. I wanted to give this introduction before I talked about selectins, so you have some idea about what these molecules are. So we are back to cell adhesion, and we are going to talk about how lectins, a special class of lectins called selectins, play a very important role in cell adhesion in the next module.